stream from with Harry, your boy Harry, from the garage, and the garage is nearly cleaned out. So I got the opportunity last weekend to get rid of a lot of junk, and I'm really liking the new open space in here. It's good for my mental clarity. Um, as without, so within, as they say in hermetic circles. If you follow that Trismegistus, you know. So tonight I'm smoking some burley in the old Chacon Sablis spigot, which is my latest, and it's become my favorite pipe. Tater Dom with the whiskies. Thank you for joining, brother. Thank you for joining. It's a solo hangout tonight. Cheers, Don. Unfortunately, no whiskey for me tonight, though. I'm just drinking good old black coffee. So yeah, I'm smoking a little burley, drinking a little coffee, and what I wanted to talk about tonight, as kind of a jumping off point more than anything, something to yap about. Yeah, good to see you too, man. It has been a while. It's been a long while, and I did one of these solo things the other night, just to see how it would go, and I found out that I could like yap for quite a while. So, I'm thinking I might do these occasionally, just put a solo one out while Dion and I can't get together. And Dion may do the same, I don't know. Um, but yeah, so what I wanted to talk about was loose stems, because that can be a problem for the pipe smoker. The old a loose stem, no good to have a loose stem. Highland Duncan, evening bud, on the harder Earl Grey tea, very nice, with the Falcon and Saint Bruno. What a combination, Saint Bruno and the Falcon. Yeah, I only really got to know Saint Bruno recently, within the last few months. I tried Condor, and I know it's basically like Condor and Saint Bruno, like the supermarket blends over here in the UK. But Saint Bruno, I definitely prefer, I think, to Condor. I love Condor for sure, um, but something about Saint Bruno, like that lightly floral scent, the Kentucky in there, really delicious. And in a Falcon, I bet that's just bomb. Earl Grey too. I love Earl Grey. That bergamot, slice of lemon maybe if you fancy. But yeah, so Falcons are a pipe that don't have a loose stem problem. So that's a good thing to say. So if loose stems are a concern, Falcon has a fixed stem. Can't go wrong with that. And then the other thing to say is spigot mounts and army mounts also don't have that problem. You're never gonna have a loose stem problem with those, because it's just metal on metal there. Um, and the great thing about it is you can remove the stem at any time. You don't have to worry about like heat. You can remove the stem to clean it and whatnot. So that's something to consider. But in all likelihood, we're not going to be buying army mounts and spigot mounts every time we buy a pipe. And most of mine aren't army mounts and spigot mounts. And but I have had a few loose stem issues. Um, a lot. I don't want to cast shade, but a lot of them have been from a certain Italian Nelly manufacturer. Um, I love you. I love you, Savinelli. Don't at me. Um, but yeah, so now two different scenarios we could talk about. One is like the completely new out of the box pipe with the loose stem, and then we'll talk about what happens when over time pipes get a loose stem. So if you have bought a new pipe, you open it up, and the stem is loose. At this point, I guess you have two options. You can send the pipe back, or you can resolve to fix it yourself. So that's really down to you, that decision. I guess depending on how much you spent on the pipe and how much you're willing to, potentially lose on a home fix. Because once you smoke the thing, you can't really send it back, right? So that's the first decision to make. Now, starting with the least invasive fix, something that you could do and still send the pipe back, I think, is you could take a lot of times I got a little maple syrup in that coffee, and I've got to say I'm going quite hard on the maple syrup lately. But I really love the way that it sweetens the coffee. Such a unique flavor to it. It's delicious, and it keeps the nicotine at bay. But yeah, so the first thing that you can do is remove the stem, which is loose anyway, so it's going to come right out, right? And then you take a cotton bud or a Q-tip, you US boys, and you're going to wet the Q-tip, and you're going to apply, and it should be soaking wet, not just damp, and you're going to apply that to the inside of the shank, right? The reason that you do this is because a lot of the time, when you receive a new pipe, that briar could have been sitting for months, maybe years, in a warehouse somewhere, and it's completely dried out. And of course, when the wood is dried out and it's absent the moisture, it will shrink, and it'll shrink away from the tenon. So that will create the looseness that allows the stem to swivel or pull out easily. So apply some water to the tenon, sorry, the inside of the shank with a cotton bud, and then let it dry overnight. And you may find that that's enough to fix it. You may find that the tenon fits nice and snugly after that. Now, if it doesn't, if it's still not fitting, we're still at a juncture where you can send the pipe back. You haven't smoked it yet. You just apply a little bit of water. So at this point, it's still up to you. Now, I'll go in with some of the fixes now. So, one thing that you can do, and by the way, that drying out, that can happen if you've had a pipe that originally the stem fit well, and you haven't smoked it for a while. You may find that the pipe becomes loose, and that's simply because in a lot of cases the pipe is dried out, the briar is dried out, and it shrunk away from the tenon. So you can apply the water, and in most cases that will fix it up. Now, this is the point of no return, but it often fixes the problem. Is simply smoke the pipe, right? So just smoke the pipe, and the moisture, probably in conjunction with the heat as well, as the moisture that's produced as a byproduct of the burning of the tobacco will soak into the briar and make it swell back up, and you may find that your tenon is now fitting properly. It may take one smoke, it may take a few, but oftentimes simply smoking the pipe is enough to get the tenon to fit nicely. Of course, now you're at the point of no return because you smoked the pipe. You can't really return it now. So if smoking the pipe didn't fix it, we have to move on to some slightly more invasive solutions. So one thing that you can do is apply some heat to the tenon. Apply some heat to the tenon, and then what you would do is you would take the stem loose from the briar, and you would gently press it into onto a flat surface and apply pressure directly downwards. And what that's going to do is the heat will soften the tenon, and the pressure applied downwards will cause the tenon to kind of like bulge a little bit again. So yeah, Duncan's saying that he had this issue with a Mr. Brog. Wasn't worth sending back because it wasn't expensive. Use a little careful heat and expanding the tenon. It's like, yeah, exactly. So what method did you use to expand the tenon, Duncan? Because one thing that I've done is the downward pressure, just like straight down on a flat surface, and it causes the acrylic or the vulcanite to like expand again, and that has worked for me on occasion. However, that has gone wrong for me. It's gone wrong in two ways. One was it was a GQ pipe, GQ's own line briar. So again, not terribly expensive, so I wasn't heartbroken over it. But I got a little too gung ho with the pressure, and the tenon bent slightly, which wasn't good. I was able to save it mostly. I got it mostly straight again. It is smokable, but that could have gone wrong in an unresolvable way, I think. The other thing is that I had a I still got a Savinelli 320, which is Fantasia. Yeah, same. Pushed it down on the gently. Push it down gently to maintain square. That's the key word. You've got to be gentle with that. And I think if you're going to use that technique, if you're going to use the pushing directly down on a flat surface, you definitely want to err more on the side of too little pressure rather than too much, because like I said, there's the potential to bend it, and you don't want to do that. Really, so do that gently. And another thing that I don't have myself, but it is a product that you can get. It's a tenon expander, so it kind of it's like a tapered point basically that you would push into the tenon, and the expanding kind of taper would gently push it out. People have said that they've had success with that. Um, People have mentioned like pencil, like a sharpened pencil and stuff. I don't know if I'd want to use that. But I think definitely the first port of call should be the flat surface with gentle pressure, definitely. Um, yeah. So the other way this went wrong for me is that I had, and it's my fault completely. Um, yeah, I had a Savinelli 320, a Fantasia, beautiful pipe. I love the shape of it, and I really like the kind of mahogany stain and the colourful stem that it had. But as you know, Savinelli pipes, as a rule, come with a filter, right? The filtered pipes, and the the tenon has a little extra length to accommodate the either a filter or a adapter. Now that little extra length is much thinner than the like the actual tenon proper. So when I tried to do this, the heat was too much, and it basically just crunched up um, that little extra length of tenon. So I still have the pipe, and it still smokes, but it's got a very open draw because of the fact that I can't use an adapter in it anymore, and I can't put a filter in it. So I gotta be honest, I don't really smoke that pipe a whole lot. To be honest, on another subject, I found the 320 kind of, even when it was properly functional, I found it kind of difficult to get on with. Um, I'm guessing it's to do with the shape of the bowl. I know a lot of people praise that pipe, but personally, I didn't get on with it, even though I think it's a beautiful pipe. So yeah, the heat and the pressure is um, is a move. Now, how do you heat the tenon? So there's two ways. You can allow the tenon to sit in some boiling water for some boiled water for a while. That might be enough to do it. That's certainly the least invasive way. The other way is to use a soft flame, definitely not a torch flame, definitely not a hard flame, but a torch flame, and hold it at some length uh, from the tenon. Right? Don't let the flame touch the tenon, because that is going to melt it. But hold it at some length, and let the heat of the flame just caress gently, like a lover, the tenon, and that should be enough to apply enough heat to make it a little bit more what's the word? Not malleable, manipulable, let's say. Um, so that's how you would apply the heat, and then gently some pressure on a flat surface, or if you have a product like a tenon expander or something tapered, use the candle passing it. Yeah, a candle. So yeah, a soft flame passing it well above. Exactly. You want some distance between the tip, and remember the tip of the flame is the hottest point. So some distance between the tip of the flame and the actual tenon. Good shout there, Duncan. So that's one method. Um, that's one way to go about it. Now, there is a method that I've used with like 100% success rate, and to be honest, at first I was reluctant to use it because it involves the addition of something of a foreign body, let's say. But basically, what you would do is it's apply beeswax to the tenon. Okay, so this is my army mount stem. Okay, so you wouldn't have this in this case. You would have like a vulcanite or acrylic stem, and you would take a block of beeswax. I got this ages ago, and I think it was like a tenner for, I don't remember the weight, but there's like 6 of these bars. So it wasn't a huge investment. and this is beeswax, and it's really solid at room temperature. And all you do is you don't need to apply any heat to the beeswax or to the tenon, but you just gently rub the beeswax onto the tenon all the way around, right? And you're going to see that um, small, like a small layer of wax will be applied to the tenon, and you'll find when you put that in that it just suddenly fits snugly. I guess it's the addition of a bit of diameter to the tenon from the wax. So yeah, initially I was reluctant to use that technique because I was reluctant to apply any kind of foreign substance to the pipe. But beeswax is it's non-toxic, it's odorless, it's flavorless, so you really don't notice that there's anything in there. And when I've used it, it's worked 100% of the time. And I think if I'd just been content to use some beeswax, probably would have saved my Savinelli. Um, so yeah, I certainly think I would try that move, the beeswax, before the before I applied any heat to the tenon. Um, but that's just me. So yeah, I would say in order. Did the wax permanently fix, or do you have to routinely? Yeah, it's pretty much a permanent fix, to be honest. So we're talking years ago that I did this, and the the stem still fits snugly. So like I was talking about my 320, I eventually ended up using the beeswax on the 320, and I haven't smoked that in over a year. So I've got to imagine that the briar has shrunk somewhat from dryness. But I just before I did this, actually, I just gave it a little twist, a little pull to see if it held up, and it was fitting as snugly as ever. I could have smoked that no problem. So I I don't know if I would say it's like 100% permanent. I got to imagine that if you were regularly smoking that pipe, breaking it down regularly, um, that maybe the wax would it would maybe diminish over time. But it's certainly a long term fix for sure. And I've asked people about this, so I can't attest to it personally, but I've asked people who have used that, and I asked the same question, and one guy was like every 5 years. So I think it is a long-term fix for sure. So yeah, I would say in order of uh, least invasive to non-invasive. Sorry, least invasive to most invasive. Apply water with a cotton bud to the inside of the shank. See if that introduction of moisture is enough to get the briar to expand again. Let it dry overnight, and put the stem back in. So now you've still got, let's say it's a new pipe, you've still got an unsmoked pipe at this point. If you want to send it back, you still got that option. Secondly, I would say smoke the pipe. I consider that non-invasive, because that's what the pipe is for. You're gonna smoke it anyway. The the smoking of the pipe itself may be enough to, probably in conjunction with the heat of the ember, to introduce some more moisture into the shank, and get it to expand again. And then at that point you can opt for the beeswax, which I think is less invasive than the heat and the pressure, um, simply because you're not going to alter the pipe in any way, and the beeswax is so not non-offensive. It doesn't affect the smell or taste, and it's non-toxic. So, and then I like I said, in all cases that's worked for me, so I consider that kind of a bit of a panacea for that problem. But the other option is the heat and the pressure. So definitely stress on gently heating the tenon with either boiled water or a soft flame, and then very gentle pressure on a flat surface. Gentle, definitely more gentle. Go more gentle than you think you would need to. The con with that is that there is you know, chance that the tenon could bend if you're a little bit too hard with the pressure. So they're my fixes for the loose stems. Um, and yeah, because it's no fun smoking a loose stem, because that, the ball's swirling around everywhere like a turtle, trying to get back on its feet. Yeah, so they're my fixes. Um, and I really don't know what else to talk about at this point. Um, but yeah, and then you've got your other pipes that have the fixed stems, like the Falcon. The Falcon's always a good choice. Falcon's always a good smoke, and it has a fixed stem, so that's never going to be a problem. And the same with the army mounts and the spigot mounts, like I mentioned before. Um, yeah, so I'm smoking a little bit of burley tonight, because you know your boy loves burley, and such a lovely smoke. Now, one thing that I've been doing recently, and I can't remember if I mentioned this on the last solo stream that I did, but I've been saving my cigar nubs, because sort of over the last year, I've got more and more into cigars. I'm enjoying a cigar, not as often as I'm smoking a pipe, but I think that's to do with finances more than anything. Pipe tobacco is a lot more of an affordable pleasure. But yeah, when I get down to that nub, particularly if it's a cigar I've really enjoyed, I just let it burn out in the ashtray. As is cigar etiquette. You just let that thing, that ember burn out, and then I break it up and I mix it, usually with a little burley, usually like some semoir, perhaps. Semoir often, and so I just break it up like I would rub down a flake, and I mix it in with the semoir, and I just put it straight in the pipe, and you really get that cigar leaf coming through. It doesn't taste quite the same as a fresh cigar, obviously, smoking a cigar, because the tobacco will have staled somewhat, to some degree, and I think the briar itself and the mechanism of smoking it through a pipe, just it changes the flavor somewhat, but there's that unique cigar flavor that melds with the pipe tobacco and the burley. And I've tried it with a little bit of Perique as well, and Perique is a nice touch too. Um, so yeah, I've really been enjoying that, to the point where like I've been camping a lot just recently, going out on the weekend, taking the kids and whatnot. Not wild camping, but easy mode camping. The kids really like it, and just like taking my nubs in a tin, and just like mixing them up when I feel like a little cigar hit. Um, but yeah, Dion and I, both of us, are getting a little more into cigars. Um, and yeah, so I mean, I don't know what you guys think. If you'd like to see a bit more cigar content, obviously we're always going to keep it mainly a pipe related channel, because pipe is the pipe has been our first love, so to speak, and there's definitely something more romantic about a pipe. I think there's something more comforting and about a pipe. Cigar is great, but there's definitely something. The pipe has a certain charm to it. Uh, so Duncan says, I think a lot of people get loose stems because they keep getting told to break their pipe down after every time they clean, after every time they smoke, to clean it, and I now just push a cleaner through. Yeah, that's a good shout, man. I mean, yeah, you've got to imagine that with repeated breaking down, there's going to be some loss of friction, right? I mean, that's what's keeping the pipe in, is friction. That's what's keeping the stem in, is friction. So you've got to imagine that if you frequently twisting it in and twisting it out, that at some point there's going to be some loss of friction. I think there could be something to that. And I think definitely if you've got a straight pipe, that's probably a good thing to do. Still do a deep clean every couple of months, but not every smoke. No need. Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same with that, bro. I don't think a deep clean is necessary every single time. With a straight pipe, obviously that's much easier to do. You can just, it's a lot easier to insert the pipe cleaner and just pull it straight out, and then your pipe is good for the next smoke. With a bent pipe, it's generally more difficult, particularly just because of the fact that one, the pipe is bent, so it's just logistically a bit more different. But it's I understand that it's harder for the manufacturer to drill a bent pipe, and I can obviously you could see why that would be. So it's quite frequent that in a bent pipe the draft hole is not always dead in center. So even a lot of my bent pipes, even when I've removed the stem and I'm just poking the cleaner straight into the briar, I often find that it's hard to find that draft hole. I don't know if that's just me, but yeah. But I do think that at some point a deep clean and including a breakdown will be needed. If nothing else, just um, to let the briar have a good dry out, um, because I mean it's never happened to me yet, but people say that if you let pipe sit too long, um, soggy, that it goes sour and it taints the smoke, um, and then like a real deep clean is required, like soaking with alcohol to get it out. I've never had that personally. I always just I don't do a deep clean after every smoke like you would say, Duncan, but yeah, I definitely run a pipe cleaner through it, and I just let it sit in a place where it can get some air, and the air can do its thing to dry it out. And yeah, I've never had that problem, not yet. I thought I had that problem when I got my first briar, um, and I was smoking. I remember a lot of the time, Gareth Navy Flake. I really was into that at the time, and yeah, one day I was smoking, and it was just a weird sensation in my tongue, and I guess I was experiencing that as like a kind of funky taste. Um, and I was like, oh, the pipe's gone sour, damn. And yeah, I soaked it with rum. I soaked cotton balls in rum, and I put that in the pipe, and I put that in the bowl, and I soaked the pipe cleaner in rum, and then I put the pipe cleaner through the tan, and I let that sit in there, and then I took that out after a day, and then I let it dry out for a few days, um, and yeah, I still had the weird sensation on my tongue, the weird taste, and eventually I realized that I had tongue bite. I don't think I'd ever had tongue bite before, because I'd just been smoking before my first bright. I'd just been smoking a clay pipe, which is really super bite free, really cool smoke, um, and then a corn cob, which is also another pipe that really reduces the bite. So I just think I'd never had tongue bite before, and I didn't realize what it was. So yeah, I just didn't smoke for a couple of days, and it went away. But the pipe did have like a lovely case. It like picked up a rum casing, and for the next few smokes there was like a rum casing to everything that I smoked, so that was quite nice. Carolina Rose. I have started now removing my stems each time, but I do run a pipe cleaner dipped with Everclear. Yeah, so we don't get Everclear over here. I've looked for it. Who is PRA? Hello, everyone. Glad to see you're still at it. I think a pipe cleaner through after every smoke and letting it rest. And yeah, and rest and get air. And I totally agree with that. Put a pipe cleaner through it, get out the excess moisture and the dottle and whatever. Um, all that, that black gunk that gets in there, and then just let the air do its thing for sure. Yeah, so the Everclear, I think, I like the sound of Everclear because it's just a pure, from what I understand, it's just pure grain alcohol. But yeah, we can't get it over here in the UK. I've looked for it because I heard it recommended. But yeah, we don't get it. But I think that would be a good move for sure because it's so high proof. Yeah, we don't get such we don't get such high proof like liquors over here and things like that. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but yeah, I've heard people using like like isopropyl alcohol, like rubbing alcohol. Um, to my mind, that sounds a little bit. I know I've been using this word a lot, but invasive. It seems like that seems like too much. I guess it evaporates, right? I guess any like taste would evaporate, but I know what like rubbing alcohol smells like, and I wouldn't like to think that was in my pipe. But so yeah, I agree. I think just like a simple run through with the pipe cleaner and airing it out is the move, and that's why pipe racks are so good because it's a nice way to display your pipes, but also they're going to be in a place, they're going to be somewhere where the air can get to them. And I'm at a point now where I've got somewhere between like 15 and 20 pipes. We've only got one pipe cleaner, sorry, one pipe rack, one six pipe rack. So I'm looking to get some more pipe racks, to show off my collection a little bit more. I might hit some antique shops, see if I can pick up anything. Um, I've looked through some antique shops recently, and it's quite often that you'll see a pipe rack in there. Duncan says, I use a blend whiskey to clean mine. Tobacco and whiskey together doesn't get it. Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. Um, yeah, whiskey and tobacco is just it's a match made in heaven. I love to have a little bit of whiskey with my pipe or cigar, and like whiskey cased, um, whiskey cased tobaccos are always a winner with me. Um, if you like Latakia, definitely Gower's bothy flake, um, which is like an English Virginia and Latakia with a Scotch single malt. I believe it's single malt whiskey casing. That is absolutely lovely. It's a lot like, I mean, it's basically a sister blend to Gower's Navy Flake, which is a rum casing. They're both lovely smokes, but probably I do enjoy the body flake and the whiskey a little bit more. And the other one is um, the Gowerth Reunion Series Bourbon Flake. Um, so it's really like it's like a really like Jack Daniels kind of a smell. Like the casing is really strong, and it's really sweet and boozy. What new blends have you tried? Whose PRA says I've been fortunate to add quite a few blends to the list. You'll have to let me know what you've been smoking, man. I've got to say, I don't know if I was so. One blend that I've been smoking a lot recently is Gowerth's Rodeo, Gowerth Hogarth Rodeo, and they call it a shag cut, but to me it doesn't look like what I think of shag as. It's a little thicker cut than I would typically call a shag. But the reason I got it is because it's pretty much straightforward Virginia burley, and I'm just really looking for a burley that I can get over here that I can get from the UK and enjoy regularly. Um, and because it's shag, they sell it a little bit cheaper, which is always nice. And it's a decent burley, it hits the spot, but it's not my favorite smoke. Um, it's certainly not my favorite smoke, but it hits the spot if I want burley. Um, Another new one I tried is, and I mentioned this recently, I think. I got Gareth Hogarth's brown uh, brown flake scented. Now, in the past, I've always enjoyed the unscented, and that's a nice burley that I enjoy too. It's quite a bright burley especially in comparison to some of the American burleys that I've had a chance to try, where they put in the dark burleys, which I really prefer. I really love those. It's quite a bright burley, but it's still I still enjoy it. But by accident, just because I was kind of in a rush to get the order in before for the same day postage, I didn't notice that I ordered the scented. Now, I've tried the dark flake scented, and I found that very soapy. I don't know if the soap actually comes from the dark fired Kentucky itself, or it's part of the Cajun, but I did not enjoy it for the same reason that I don't, and this might be heresy, but I don't love Bosun cut plug because I find that geranium way too strong and too soapy, and that's a bit off-putting for me. But I smoked the brown flake scented, and I found that the topping wasn't soapy. It was definitely floral, definitely uh, like a rose scent, like a rose oud, attar of rose kind of thing. But they say that there's chocolate and fig in there, and I maybe get a bit of fig too. Not so much chocolatey, but it's a nice smoke. Um, Again, I think I prefer the unscented if I were to have to choose, but it's not bad, and particularly because the weather is somewhat improving in the UK for the summer a little bit. It is quite a summery smoke, that floral scent. So I've been enjoying that. So yeah, the rodeo, the brown flake scented. I got the um, Peterson's Irish Cask, which is a Virginia Black Cavendish Perique aged in oak sherry barrels. Um, and I don't get a ton of any of the influence from the barrel. Like there's no that doesn't for me that didn't really impart anything. But it's a nice sweet vapor. You know, I can't fault it for that. It's a pretty everyday kind of smoke. Like not too strong. You know, I could happily puff that. You know, all day long. It's nice. But yeah, again, not a favorite. A couple of months back, got hold of some of the Jermaine's brown flake. I was looking, I saw that Smoke King had Jermaine's in, and I was too late for the Rich Dark Flake, which I absolutely love. That's a burley, that's a Virginia burley, like a dark Virginia burley with a bit of molasses, and I think there's some rum or whiskey in there. So recent acquisitions from Who is PRA: Solani aged burley, Escudo, Dorchester, Stonehaven. Yeah, so Solani aged burley flake, man. Tell me what you think of that, because for me, that kicks like a mule. Nice taste. Um, there's definitely like a fermented straw barnyard kind of like scent taste to it. Yeah, Rich Dark Flake is beautiful, man. I would love to get my hands on that again. But the ABF, yeah, it's got like a real fermented hay, like silage kind of note. Not unpleasant, and then like quite chocolatey too. But that was the first blend that I ever tried was a Balkan. It was Gareth Hogarth Balkan, and I really enjoyed that. And then on a recommendation, the second blend that I ever bought was the ABF aged burley flake. I bought a tin of that, and yeah, I was smoking that thing outside in my clay pipe, and all of a sudden I just felt so ill. And it didn't really occur to me at the time that it was the smoke. I just thought for whatever reason I was feeling ill. So like I put the pipe down, and I came back to it like the next day, and yeah, the illness hit me again, and I was like, good lord, it was so strong. I couldn't smoke it without getting ill, you know. So maybe I'd be different now. Maybe because I've been smoking a lot longer, and I've probably got something more of a nicotine tolerance now. Probably if I went back to it, I might find that I didn't get sick. But you know what it's like when something makes you ill. It kind of the memory puts you off. But yeah, I gave it to Dion. I was like, look, I'm gonna keep it 100. I didn't get on with this particularly, but I've got it lying around, and he was fairly new to smoking a pipe at the time, and I was like, "You're definitely welcome to have it and see how you get on with it." And it didn't seem to bother him at all. He just kind of blasted through a bowl. So maybe I'm just a lightweight. But yeah, the Dorchesters is that Esoterica? I've seen that online. The prefer cobblestone hiking and HH Burley Flake over the ABF. It's very stout and to me more earthy and woody. Yeah, so I I had someone recommend me the the it's Home and Hearth, right? Is that what it's called? No, no, sorry, Cobblestone Hiking. Yeah, Cobblestone Hiking. Somebody recommended me that for Burley. It was a guy who he used to comment on here a lot, and his name was Joshua. And he recommended it to me. I've not heard from him in a while, um, but it was sold out. I couldn't get hold of any. But on your recommendation, man, I may see if I can get hold of some. Um, but yeah, I remember you recommending us the Redburn, and that was a lovely burley. Yeah, I still remember enjoying that. Um, yeah, anything else new? I don't think so, man. Like lately, actually, I've been kind of smoking my stash a little bit more, going back to some of the old favorites like a little bit of Bob's Chocolate Flake. So that's an old favorite. Some Gower's Best Brown, Straight Virginia. Typically, I don't love a Straight Virginia. I do like something in there, whether it be Perique um, or Burley. Generally Burley. It is esoteric, yeah, vapor technically, but more Virginia than anything. Apricot topping. That sounds good. That sounds good. Yeah, the Redburn is very good, man. The apricot is an intriguing note because I said this before, but yeah, I found that Samuel Gowith's full Virginia flake is very sour when it's young, but jarred up it gets like apricot, peach, jam, kind of sweet, and that's a really nice scent on a it's a really nice note on a Virginia tobacco like that. Yeah, I recently finished my tin of Haunted Bookshop cake, which I thought got better over time. Definitely. Um, don't I'd prefer the old Joe Krantz over Haunted Bookshop, particularly for those darker burleys, which I find richer and more chocolatey and toasty. And yeah, I prefer those for sure. Um, Briar Fox, I've enjoyed. Kind of it's a lot brighter than I typically would go for, but it's a pleasant smoke. Um, it's got it's quite reminiscent of like American spirits. I went through a little phase where I was smoking a bit of American spirits, like rolling tobacco, kind of. But yeah, I didn't enjoy that as much as pipe, so I kind of let that um, fall by the wayside. Um, and yeah, smoking a bit of Samoa lately. The Tabac de Manil Semois, um, the Reserve du Patron, as it's called. It's like it's a particular kind of burley that they grow in. I mean, you probably know this, but for those that don't, they only grow it in the Ardennes region in Belgium, and it's really, really super dry. And it's got quite a unique taste to it, kind of a cigar-like taste. But yeah, I've had this for a while, and I've come back to it recently, and it seems to taste a little bit different than I remember it. Definitely some like a little bit of vanilla and even baking spice kind of notes in it. So yeah, I'm enjoying that too. But yeah, I hear a lot. I hear a lot about the esoterica, man. I hear that you guys in the states enjoy that quite a lot. Um, some of the stuff from the states that I'm kind of interested to try is the Seattle Pipe Club plum pudding, which I hear a lot about. People say that's good. Um, People are saying GLPs a lot too. I haven't tried any GLPs. Um, it seems like they do a lot of like English Latakia based stuff, but I'm really more into. I do enjoy Latakia, but I also have to be in the mood for it. Generally, it's like an everyday smoke. I really want some burley in there, and also like a little bit of Perique. That's not too much to ask. Um, but yeah, I'm so like further to the point. So I enjoy Old Joe Krantz and One Bookshop. Yeah, I haven't tried any Gareth products other than Squadron Lead is a great one. Esoteric is fine, but not worth the hype. Oh, okay, That's fair enough. Yeah, it does seem to get a lot of hype online for sure. Squadron Leader is beautiful. I consider it like the benchmark for English. It's just so nicely balanced. Um, Plum pudding is great. People either like or hate it. Yeah, I'm interested to try it for sure. Just reading the description. I mean, it's been a while. It seems like there's a bit of everything in it. So difficult now getting back from across the pond. Deaf reduced our choice. Yeah, I mean, the situation's not great over here. Um, I mean, I guess in a lot of ways, uh, we're lucky to have Gareth Hogarth. They put out a lot of really good high quality stuff. We can get hold of Jermaine's when it's in stock, but that's a bit of a scramble. Um, we can get hold of Peterson's. Peterson's have got a few ones I enjoy, but typically they're not my favorite. I really do enjoy the three piece Peterson's Perfect Plug, um, but that's the only one I think from Peterson's that I can really say that I'd go out of my way to buy. Yeah, it's limited over here for sure. Yeah, it's a sad state. Um, but yeah, the cobblestone is something I would like to try for sure, and yeah, the plum pudding. Um, yeah, but yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap it up there, folks. If there's anything, so like I'm probably gonna do a few more of these solo ones. If you like Squadron Leader, have you tried Chacom number 5, a good Lataki strong? No, I haven't tried any of the Chacoms. Um, that's one I haven't tried. Yeah, I may look into the Chacoms. Yeah, there's a few that I haven't like. I haven't tried a lot of the Solanis. I've only tried the Aged Burley Flake. Um, I haven't tried a lot of the Stockabees. Um, but Eric Stockaby 1931 is a good burley. Again, quite a bright burley, but it's got a bit of a brown sugar honey kind of casing that is quite nice, very easy, mellow kind of a burley. Um, yeah, maybe I'll give the Chacons a shout, man, because I'm enjoying the Chacon pipe, um, and I've got the other Chacon pipe in there, which is a mortar, the bog oak, which it's my most expensive pipe, but I've got to say I didn't really enjoy it. I haven't smoked it in ages, which is a bit of a shame. But I may give that another try. Break it out again soon and give it another try. But yeah, so I think I'll probably wrap this one up here. Yeah, like I was saying, yeah, thank you, dude. Yeah, I may give that one a try. Um, yeah, so I may do more of these solo ones because it's quite fun just to chat with you guys and have someone to talk to while I'm smoking. Is the bog oak a different smoke? So yeah, it's definitely a different smoke. The way that so I was kind of like mulling it over for a long time to get the whether to get a bog oak, and people was like the way I heard it described is basically it's a luxury cob. It's like a corn cob that you just pay a lot more for. The advantage is that it doesn't ghost. It's pretty cool smoking. Um, but the main thing that I found is that it really muted and dulled down any of the flavors in the tobaccos that I was trying. So I could take a blend that I would love in a briar or a cob, but in the bog oak pipe, the flavors were so played down, and yeah, it was weird, man. It's weird. It's just kind of like it's kind of like smoking through a grey filter or something. At least that was my experience. I know a lot of people like them, but it's a lovely pipe. It's a beautiful pipe. It's just that for me, the flavors came through so diminished. Um, Maybe they need a bit of a breaking period. I don't know, but yeah, I'm a bit disappointed about giving up on such a nice pipe. So I may give it another try and see if it comes good. Dion's got he got himself a block meerschaum, and he's enjoying that. I guess the thing with a meerschaum is that they're more brittle, right? You have to be a little bit careful with those. I wondered if a blend was too strong for me. That would be enough. Yeah, I mean possibly. That's yeah. So if you had a blend that was like a little too strong, and you put it in a mortar, it might do a little bit to just take a bit of the heat out of it, so to speak, a bit of the strength out of it. Could be what, yeah. But I would say, man, maybe because I went in and I got a Chacon mortar straight away. I know you can get bog oak pipes from Poland for a little bit cheaper. They're not going to be probably. Yeah, you're welcome, man. Absolutely. But that might be, if you just want to spend a little less money to see what it's like before you go in with one, that might be an option. But yeah, do let me know if there's any other topics that you would want me to talk about on future things, and Dion and I, we will get back to doing this, back with the old team as soon as we can. So yeah, thank you for joining, lads. You made it fun as always, and I'll see you soon. So enjoy the smokes and God bless.